The next one we have the mask assignment. Mask assignment vulnerabilities occur when a user or attacker is able to submit additional field to an API request that were not intended to be included in the request. This can be done by modifying the API request or by submitting additional data that can be injected into the API. If the server does not validate or sanitize the data properly, the attacker can submit malicious data and modify the data fields they have access to. The impact of mass assignment vulnerability can change from minor to severe depending on the type of data being manipulated. For example, if the attacker gains access to the administrative level data, they could potentially take over the system or access sensitive information. On the other hand, if the data is being manipulated is relatively big, the impact may be limited to minor changes in the system. To prevent mass assignment vulnerabilities, it is important to validate and sanitize all input data from the API request. This can include restricting which data fields can be modified and validating the data being submitted to ensure that it matches the expected format. Additionally, developers should be careful when using third-party libraries or tools that may introduce vulnerability into their system. Mass assignment vulnerabilities are a common type of vulnerability in web application. That can lead to serious security risks. Developers should be aware of the risks associated with mass assignment and take steps to validate and sanitize all input data from API requests to prevent this type of vulnerabilities. By following best practices and using secure coding techniques, developer can help protect the system from mass assignment attack. The application. Here we have MailTrail. It is a cloud-based email delivery platform for delivering transactional and marketing emails. Alice, the CTO of MailTrail, has engaged a cybersecurity consultant Bob to perform a regular penetration test against the MailTrail platform. Penetration testing, also called as pen testing or ethical hacking, is a practice of testing a computer system, network, or web application to find security vulnerabilities that would-be attacker could exploit. Attack surface analysis. For testing purposes, the MailTrail ID team has configured Bob a single test account to access the MailTrail application. However, to ensure test coverage, Bob begins his assignment by first browsing through MailTrail pre-authentication interface menu and function to identify test scenario and security misuse cases. Forgotten password functionality. So, since Bob is a registered user of the MailTrail application, he attempts the password reset functionality by submitting his email address below. As Bob go ahead and access the MailTrail webmail below to view the password reset email from the MailTrail. Go ahead and open the password reset email we just received. To test the MailTrail password reset feature for potential security vulnerabilities, Bob click the password reset URL to load the password reset form. To test the security of reset password token page, Bob begins by updating his password to the following credentials. We have to now intercept the request. To understand how the password reset functionality communicates with the backend server, Bob intercepts the HTTP request generated by his browser using an application web proxy. Upon clicking the Save New Password button, Bob's browser generated a POST request to MailTrace backend API, API/reset password. The request passes Bob Y set password 123 via password parameter of a user field. However, upon further analysis, Bob notices an additional parameter is admin being passed in the user field to the post request. Maybe changing its value can allow Bob to escalate its privileges. So having analyzed the post request and the presence is admin variable, Bob attempts to modify the it has been parameter value by setting it to false to true. Interesting. Reviewing Bob's HTTP proxy response, we can see that the HTTP response returns a 202 code, which indicates that the request has been accepted for processing by the server. Noticing that this modified post request successfully processed by the Mailtrain backend server, Bob proceeds to log into his Mailtrain account to see if manipulating the isadmin parameter maybe escalated his account privileges to admin. Success. By simply changing the isadmin parameter value in the password update post, request to true, Bob has successfully managed to update his account privilege to administrative privileges and access management features of the Mailtrail application. The vulnerability exploited by Bob is known as mass assignment, in which a malicious user modifies properties that they are not supposed to on the data objects stored in the backend, gaining unauthorized access or corrupting data as a result. To understand the root cause of the mass assignment vulnerability, let's take a look at the source code used to reset the password. The reset password method is used to update the password of the user. First, it extracts the token parameter from the post request and checks if it's valid. If the token is valid, the method extracts the user parameter which contains the password value and stores it into the user variable. The user variable is then passed into the update user method, updating the password. However, notice that no validation of the user object is performed. Hence, it has become possible to pass additional user-related changes with the update user method. This eventually allows an adversary to update various fields of the user entity, which is not supposed to, such as is admin gaining unauthorized admin access. In order to effectively mitigate against mass assignment attacks, developers must ensure that all the parameters and the payload the method is expecting are explicitly defined instead of relying on the generic entity objects passed as parameters. Additionally, all schemas and the types that are expected in the request should be explicitly defined at design time and enforced at runtime. So let's see how the above best practice can be applied to our vulnerable code example to prevent mass assignment attacks. In this mitigated example, the reset password method extracts a separate password HTTP parameter instead of a whole user object. The password value is then passed to the update user password method designed specifically for updating the user password and nothing else. This prohibits a malicious actor from changing any user entity field except for the password, preventing him from legally raising his level of access by manipulating the is admin field.